So my name is Dwight James III. I am the Director of Media for the National Collegiate Entertainers Group, and this is the first of our, well, second of our panel series, and we're focusing on our producers. So we can have our producers introduce themselves.
All right, I'm Archer. I've been producing for about, I want to say since about 2013. So, I don't know, it's a long time, I've lost count at this point. But started off as an engineer, then like coming out of high school, there weren't any real programs for like engineering. So like I was in the music like performance program, but like I flunked out because like performance wasn't really like my main focus. So like I would go to the studio downtown and like just not go to class, but you know, not having it in that PR, for sure not. But that's kind of how I got my start. It was more so just I had friends back in high school that were still making music, and they knew other people within the industry, and just I started building up relationships like that over the years. Like I would play my beats just to kind of test the speakers or whatever. And like over time, the artists that would come in, they would hear the beats, they'd be like, yo, what is that? Pull that up. That's how I would get placements. So yeah, I was doing that. Met Summer around, I want to say, Summer Walker, sorry. I met Summer around spring of like 2017. We were working on Last Day of Summer. Just same way. I was making beats in the studio, just in the downtown between sessions, and like her manager heard the beats, loved it, so we got together. Made a banger project, and from there, just my career, just a series from there. That was around 2017. I've been on this as a producer for about like focused exclusively on production for about, I want to say like 4 or 5 years at this point. But yeah, well maybe like 5, 6 at this point. But yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
My name is Go Crazy Tone. I used to be named DJ Tone and whatnot. I'm a DJ, producer, artist, all of the above, so I can relate to everybody sitting in front of me. I actually, since we talk about production, I started producing in the pandemic in 2020, so I'm not, I'm still young, I'm still learning, you feel me? I'm no Archer from a session that we were in, you feel me? And other friends that, you know what I'm saying, that produce and whatnot, and I'm still learning, you feel me? I'm definitely here to listen to the questions and give you a perspective from all three of the perspectives that, you know what I'm saying, I go. I have been DJing since 2013. I graduated from Morehouse right down the street. I DJed for Black. Been touring with him since 2016, since the beginning. Kind of got bored with the DJ stuff and was like, you know what, make some beats. And fast forward to, you know, here we are now. So that's it.
Easy. Perfect. Appreciate y'all. Y'all give it up for them, man. Give it up for them. And I mean, to kind of bridge into that point of like, you know, you still learning, both of y'all still learning, man. Like, what are some of the roadblocks that y'all hit along the way? Archer, I know you mentioned that, you know what I'm saying, you had like some fallouts with school and all that stuff, but like as you were coming up and as you're building yourself up as a producer, you know what I'm saying, and even you too, Tone, as a DJ and producer and as an artist as well, what are some of the things that you were like, wait, hold up, is this really for me? You know what I mean?
Man, so coming up, I want to say like for the first half of my career, I want to say like the biggest roadblock was just kind of having enough time and having enough time to really focus on like making music and like trying to perfect my craft, because I was so broke. I was just trying to find any way to like make some bread. So like, you know, that balance of like trying to stay alive and eat, but also trying to make music was like, it was a lot of stress. I want to say like that was the main thing. It was hard to form the community because of the position I was in, just the scarcity I was in. So it was like, but the main saving grace from that though was the relationships. Like building, it wasn't necessarily the money that I was making, it wasn't like the, you know, getting a position in a great studio or nothing like that. Like for a while I was just bouncing around, but the people that I met they would just be the different favors of just like, okay, cool, I'm in that position with you right there. So it'd be like, like sleeping on the couch in the studio or sleeping, to like splitting like a McDonald's fry with somebody or some shit like that, like, or something like that. So like early on, that was the main hurdle, and then later on, it kind of turned more into like once I started getting more like stability within like my career, it's more so like I don't know, not to get like too like crazy with it, but like kind of the intersectionality of like my own identity of like how I kind of see myself, my career, and like what I kind of see around. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't really relate to the other producers or other engineers, really the other producers, because no other producer that I really saw was engineering at the time. And also the way that they carried themselves and presented themselves, I wasn't really sure how to really present myself. So it was like, that's kind of been the more recent hurdle that I've had to like overcome. But still kind of working through that, but I've kind of just settled that it's like, as far as like representation goes for like people kind of like me, I feel like it helps more so for me to be out rather than just kind of keep all of this music in or try, or not even that, more so rather than just being locked away, making music hours on end, and then just trying to sell the beats and just kind of stay hidden. Like more so realizing that I gotta put myself out there, you know what I mean? So that other people can see that it's not just the cool guys or fashion guys, you know what I mean? In that kind of sense. And then also you don't have to like constantly work on music all the time.
That's real. What about you, Tom?
I got two. I definitely can say the time for sure. It's not enough. We were literally just talking before everybody got here just about time and how, you got so many dreams and aspirations to do something different than anybody else, but it's not enough hours in a day, I know in the pandemic when I was first learning, I had my first son. I had a baby. So making beats during the day and actually taking care of my son was like the hardest thing for me, because I'm actually responsible for this kid's breathing on top of like, all right, he's boo-booing and peeing every 2 hours. I'm trying to knock these 6 beats out for the day that I got playing, and it just really didn't go that well. And I guess another hurdle would be, I kind of came into it thinking let me go back. I have a very good relationship with like a lot of artists in Atlanta that kind of know me for DJing, like specifically like rocking shows or rocking clubs. So I kind of came into it like, oh, when I come with my beats, all these artists just gonna hop on my beats. Hell no, it don't work like that. You feel me? That was like my biggest thing, and like now it's like understanding like, nah, you gotta work for this almost twice as hard as you work for your DJ career, because I'm proving there, I'm not proving here, So that's kind of like the hardest thing so far. I'm kind of going and like, I've taken that and like realized like, okay, who believes now? Let me work with you and build it up. So that's kind of where I am now, as far as the hurdles are concerned.
Easy. Shoot, y'all give it up. That's real, man. Hey, listen. People go through things and you never really know what they're enduring. You never know what they're going through. So we really appreciate y'all sharing that with us. My next question is kind of around like being around the stars, right? Being around people that, a lot of us listen to every day, you know what I mean? How do you, balance between like, oh, okay, cool, this is my peer, I'm working with them, but then also like, damn, I can't be starstruck because I got a job to do.
Ooh. I kind of learned that from the DJ side of things, like being around, before I just started DJing for Black, I used to DJ for 7th Streeter, and she was signed to Chris Brown. So like my first 3 years of DJing, I literally used to be around Chris Brown, Ty Dolla $ign all the time before I even started making beats. I'm really just around him. So I kind of learned that threshold of like, okay, you around, but shut your damn mouth. Like, you feel me? Like, do your job, and once you get good at your job, then you want a piece of the family. You know what I'm saying? But then as I continue to, matriculate and go through things, I kind of understand like, hey, like even though it's still a job, whatever sauce you bring to your job, that's kind of like what makes you, whether it be, like I'm extremely goofy, like funny, You know, you can ask, that's my guy right there. Everybody say, what's up, Domo? That's my guy. I work with Domo all the time. My personality is what makes people want to work with me, you know? So I will also say, like, yeah, it's to the point, like everybody says, just do your job, but also, bro, be you as well. Like, if you want to crack a joke, nobody laughs, okay, cool. You feel me? But always just continue to be you. That would be like my advice I would say, for sure.
Alright, so like the kind of balance between, like for the most part, like if you meet, like if you're going into a session with somebody that you've never met before, but you like, you know, you're a big fan of their work, you're gonna fan out a little bit on some extent, you know. But it's like in that moment, like when you're both focused on the music, you know, all that stuff kind of goes away. You know what I mean? It's like in that moment, you're both reacting to what's being played and what you guys are writing in that moment. So it's like it kind of goes to the back of your head because it's like the whole time you're still kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe it, I can't believe it, I can't believe it, I can't believe it. But at the same time, it's like if you can be present in that moment with that artist or with whomever you're with in that moment, even if it's not making music, you know, let me step back from that. If it's just like a particular meeting or just spending time around them, just being present right there really means a lot more because then it's like, you know, you get to show them the type of person that you are. Because like what Tom said, really your personality, the type of person you are is gonna really be what keeps you around. If you're an asshole to everybody or if you're not really like responding, you know what I mean? If you don't really talk, people aren't really, you know, you're not gonna really leave an impression on anybody. Like, so that's kind of been like the way I've kind of been navigating. Cause like one thing I've learned is like, as an engineer coming up, I would be in sessions with like, well, when I was first coming up, I was coming up in like trap studios. So it's only like a bunch of like guns and weed and a bunch of illicit drugs or whatever. So like, you know, people wouldn't necessarily be in a sober mindset, you know what I mean? So that is a whole different like can of worms. But like being more so in those moments, you know, you see certain celebrities in their element, and the industry kind of has a way of treating recording engineers not really the best. You know, that's really why we need a union for real. You know, but so a lot of it initially was kind of like being humble because like coming out of high school or just coming out of my friend group, I was like, man, I'm the shit, man. I got the best sound. I know how it's supposed to sound. I got the best mix. I know how to EQ. I know how to compress. Man, I know how to arrange music. Man, I know what I'm doing. They just need to let me. Nah. It's like in that moment, like certain roles in the industry is like you're there to particularly serve, and if you can handle the technicalities like really well but still be there to kind of like to help more so personally, that'll help out a lot more, especially for someone that isn't sober in that moment because sometimes they'll be an asshole. A lot of times they might be, but you gotta give them. They might not have the space for you to really be understanding and compassionate, but you gotta give that space to them. So it's like that impression, you know, sometimes it's not always just about being the biggest character in the room, but also just kind of caring for that person in that moment. You know what I mean? It's like, it's more than just like the, like, making music aspect of it, you know?
That's real, man. Well, I mean, to lead kind of to my next point, right? Like, y'all both have experienced the overflow of being, you know what I'm saying, successful in the music industry and all some stuff. Got a lot of work, got a lot of things happening for you, and then you get overwhelmed, you experience burnout. What would you say is that balance for, you know what I'm saying, both of y'all to be like, how do you bounce back from being like overwhelmed with all these great things, but then you don't have time for yourself and you're trying to like reset? What are some of the things that y'all do?
Man, burnout. Ooh, all right, so one thing that, because burnout does happen no matter what you, like you can plan for it a lot, but honestly, like, you can't really avoid it. One thing that I've really kind of started figuring out, because I still have it now, it's a lot of stuff is like the internalized like feeling of like really needing to like work on music a lot, because it's like once stuff starts working out for you, or like, you know, once a couple of like pieces in your like master plan or whatever start coming together. You start meeting people. You start accomplishing different things. You want to keep going. Like you want to just like okay, cool. I could do that thing next week. Oh yeah, well, I'll bet. So then before you realize it, you've scheduled a bunch of things for next week, and then the following week, and then the next week, and then the next couple months, and then a lot of stuff starts running into each other. You gotta always make sure you take that time to like take a break. It always takes some, like more regularly than you feel that you may need. You know what I mean? Like if you feel like okay, well I could probably take like a break like one time in a month. Nah, like have that time in the morning every day where you check in with yourself. You see how you're really doing. You see how you're really feeling, because like your mental health is what's gonna make it like it's gonna determine whether or not you're having a good time going through this industry or not. And if you just hit that wall dead on, you're not gonna be able to move forward. Like period. So it's like take more breaks than you really like. Take more breaks than just take more breaks. Honestly, yeah, for real.
I 150% agree. When I came to, so I used to play football, right? And football is all year round training. Go, train. The season comes, football. As soon as you get out, you have like 2 weeks and then you get right back to training. You feel me? I kind of took that approach when it came to DJing. I DJed every day, every club, every party I wanted to be a part of. And fast forward 10 years, I wouldn't say I hate DJing, but I definitely burn myself out when it comes to DJing. Like, I only want to DJ certain type of events or certain type of concerts. So with production in these past 2 years, what I've definitely approached is like, if I'm not feeling it that day, I won't do it. Like, I know a lot of producers that can sit down on live and make 15 beats in one day. That's cool for you, right? For you, like for example, this past last couple months, from October to December, I didn't make one beat at all. Zero. I just felt like I needed to step away and like actually like live life. You know, I did a tour and whatnot, but I literally stepped away from the music. But when I came back, I felt like I had fresh ears, I was ready, I was hungry to attack what I needed to attack, you know. I definitely feel like that time that you need to yourself, it's like you said, for mental health purposes, from just living life, man. Life is very short, bro. And I know we got our dreams and aspirations, but I've also climbed to the mountain top. I've climbed to the top of the mountain and realized, like, damn, this is not what I thought it was gonna be.
We don't have healthcare.
You feel me? Like, it's serious, you know.
For real.
So instead of locking yourself in that room, like, man, I need to do 12 hours in the studio and knock out 3. Like, it's okay to just, you know what, bro, it's cool. Like, let me go holler at the homies and get on the game.
Go spend some time with those artists.
Yeah, it's okay, bro. Like, don't compare yourself to what you see out here, because 9 times out of 10 is cap. Everybody's not working 24 hours out the day. You feel me? I didn't make no beats today. Make some tomorrow, but you know, it's okay to just disconnect. I always say just disconnect from the alter ego that you think that you are. Just separate.
To kind of piggyback off of that, all right, so you don't necessarily have to like, because for me personally, I have a lot of like the internalized like feeling of like needing to work on music, because I love music, super passionate about it, right? So even if it's just like working, like if you make a beat that day, that beat might not be that good. You could use the pieces from that beat. You could make a little loop from it. You could do something with that. Like you could, or if you're an artist, you could take the lyrics, take a couple bars or something, keep track of that. You know what I mean? Just, it could be parts of music within your day. Like music can be like incorporated into your life. It doesn't necessarily have to just be that time where you sit down and write a song. Which is great, which is a great exercise, which you definitely, like that will help the most with like your craft and your creativity, trying out different creative ideas, because when it comes to that moment, you want to be able to try, you know, if you're collaborating with somebody or if you are in a studio where time is money, you want to be able to like, you know, exercise different creative possibilities efficiently, which, you know, I feel some type of way about. But, you know, you don't necessarily have to, like, you know, it's not just like the black and white of like not working on music and then working on music. It doesn't have to be as intense of making an entire song the entire time.
Jesus, shoot, hey, show some love to that, man. Hey, like you said, burn out real, and especially like in these times, we feel like we gotta be on autopilot and do so much at the same time. Like, I'm glad that y'all really decided to make sure y'all take care of yourselves, and like even with all the things that they've done, right? Like at the height that they're at, they're still taking time to themselves. So that means that we all have to do the same things as well. Which I'm gonna bridge this to talk about wealth in music and just entertainment industry as well, right? Like, what are some of the things that y'all did to make sure y'all diversified your portfolios when it came to finances, right? Like, we all know that the music industry is an uphill battle. It seems like once you make another hit, you have to make another hit and then make another hit and so on and so forth, right? Like, so what are some of the things that y'all got into to make sure that like y'all weren't just depending on the music, but the music was just an element of the bigger picture?
Ooh, capitalism. No, but honestly, as far as like diversifying my portfolio, you know, real estate. Honestly, once you get a certain amount of assets, with, you know, like once you're a certain amount of liquid, banks do want to like do business with you because they want your money. So like you can accumulate wealth in that way, where you can leverage, you know, you can leverage your assets, you know, and, you know, accumulate other assets and hold, you know what I mean? And then over time, you know, you become less and less liquid. Meaning like, you know, if you own a piece of land, you can get, just because you own that piece of land, you can get a loan and leverage from that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So really, real estate has like been, you know, this is not financial advice at all. You could really get fucked up really bad. But just as far as like the whole like passive income or whatever, like if you owning real estate is like owning, not necessarily like the, you know, the renter side of it or just owning the piece of land right there. It's like the like most fundamental thing to like expand your portfolio, because once, you know, music has seasons, and like there are gonna be certain times of the year where stuff is gonna be slow and your income is gonna be like none at all. So to have something that you can fall back on, like real estate, it's honestly like, it's been something that's like really been eye-opening for me.
Damn, you stole my answer. Definitely real estate, like you said. My friend, I happen to have a friend that's in the NFL, and he's a very successful player. So I've been able to invest in some real estate properties in New Orleans to get things going, food trucks, Forex. I like to tap in just a little bit of everything. Gaming, like just try to just tap in and just understand, like, hey man, like, especially like with the music, it can be so slow. You can literally produce 5 songs on the biggest album in the world and you won't get paid till next year for it. Yeah, it gets like that sometimes. Sometimes 3 years, sometimes 2 years, sometimes you gotta go to court about it. Sometimes it just depends. Like it's a different type of game.
Comes out, it might be a lawsuit, and
You still not getting paid for it. You gotta come out your pocket to pay for a lawyer to get your money. Like, it gets deep. It definitely gets deep. A lot of artists don't pay for things like they should. You know what I'm saying? So to not be dependent or not go into those things, definitely when you start to get a little bread, look at other avenues to just tap into and what you like. But make sure, that's my number one thing. Make sure that you like it. Don't invest into it and you don't like it. Because when you lose, you're not really learning anything. If you learn something and you like it, then when you do lose, you're actually learning something. Like, you know what? Oh, I lost because of this reason. I can change it for this. But when you don't like it, it's just like, damn, I lost. I'm going to just go to the next thing. And then you're going to lose on the next thing. And then you're going to lose on the next thing. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Appreciate that, man. Y'all show some love from that.
Yeah.
Show some love. Yeah. When it comes to just being in the music industry and all some stuff, and obviously like you're trying to make the next record better than the last record, what do y'all do to make sure that y'all don't see the glass ceiling, but y'all continue to break those glass ceilings to reach those new heights?
I like that question. When I go into certain sessions or certain, let's just say for instance, I'm in a session with an artist and we got a good vibe and, and I like working with this particular artist or I like working with this particular producer. You don't have to be a song, it could be a beat that we making. If I have that situation, I like to think of it like, okay, cool, I just shot a free throw. Boom, I made that free throw. All right, this is the next free throw. I'm not really carrying I said carrying hard as hell. I'm not really carrying that energy from the last free throw that I shot. You know what I'm saying? I know it's like most people like, I had a hit, I got a hit. But I don't also think about it like, I gotta make 100 hits. I'm literally just looking at it like it's one free throw at a time. You feel me? I'm gonna keep shooting because I love the game. You feel me? If you love the game, every shot, you're not gonna make every shot. You feel me? But a lot of people put that pressure on themselves by thinking, I gotta hit 6 threes in 1 year. It's like, no, bro. You hit a layup here, you feel me? Get a block here, steal here, hit a 3 there, you know what I'm saying? Eventually, you're gonna have some points on the board. You dig what I'm saying? So I don't look at it like walking in and just being like, okay, I got these hit records over here, I don't have to do anything. All I gotta do is enjoy every session that I walk to and feel like I put my best foot forward. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna walk out like, you know what, I did something, or I like this, or you know what, we're gonna figure it out the next session. Because there's certain sessions that you walk in, you're like, what the hell did I just wasted 6 hours for? We just made 4 beats, I don't like none of them. It's gonna be certain times like that, but if you feel like you put your best foot forward, you're okay with it, you know what I'm saying? So, that's it.
For sure. Like as far as like the process of it goes, like sometimes like the initial idea that we have, we just kind of strip it apart and just see what the best part of the song is, like something that really like showcases like the best aspects of that piece of music, and like kind of build from that. So like even if it's something that's like more so later in the song, cut out all the intro, first verse or whatever, and then the outro, and just work from that and kind of start over. Sometimes that process works. Other times it's like, other times it's a different process. Other times, like there are some sessions where it's not really all that productive. But kind of putting your own ego to the side, because the thing that got you in the door, of course, is like, your last accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, he did such and such, or he's worked with such and such. So it's like a certain expectation comes, but with that, from the people that you're working with, and if you're able to just kind of like put that to the side, like honestly, like it'll be, I feel 9 times out of 10 I've noticed that that's been a more productive session. You know what I mean? And even if it's not, like I've gained a new friend. You know what I mean? So then we can continue to work, because it's like not everything's gonna necessarily be something where like you're gonna, not every session you're gonna make money from. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta give that person that room and that time to kind of get the expression just right. You know what I mean? And same thing like on the production side too, is like you gotta also be patient with yourself. If you don't necessarily get something right the first time, like if you don't get the drums right the first time, you could just find out what the best part of that drum part is. Take out the hi-hats, take out the clap, and if it's just the 808, then sometimes you might just have to leave it just 808, or if you made a whole beat and the artist doesn't really like the drums and you take the drums off and, they record it to just that, that's a great start. Honestly, that could still be the song, you know what I mean? So, for sure. For sure.
That definitely happened to me in lecture one time. He had an idea and started it, and then it was like, we just like the drums. All right, bet. Let's create around the drums. And then we wound up being cool. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Should appreciate y'all for real, man. I think we show a lot of that. So during the peak season of like the music industry, right? Like how do y'all balance between like being on the scene and like being everywhere, and then also feeling like, hey y'all might not see me for a few weeks because I've just been overloaded.
Like, for sure, like the schedule, like getting a healthy balance with the schedule can help you from can stop you from overloading yourself for sure. But but like in the peak season, it helps a lot to not necessarily just be in the studio, but just to kind of go to events, go network, because honestly, when it's peak season and everybody's like really outside, because it's usually summertime. It's usually summer and spring, and then yeah, exactly right. So usually it helps more so not necessarily to be in the studio, but just kind of be more active socially.
Repeat the question one more time.
So essentially, it's like during the peak season, like say music industry, where got all these events going on, like even say with Grammy season upon us and all this stuff. Like, how do y'all make sure that y'all are taking care of yourselves, but then also make sure that y'all are on the scene enough?
Oh yeah, okay, cool. So I'm very particular on stepping outside because I'm coming from also a DJ perspective of people knowing me as a DJ. So for example, Grammy weekend is this week, right? I'm not going, but at the same time, if I did want to go, I also have to understand how to move and where to go. That's extremely important when you come into especially from an artist perspective. Y'all being here, understanding and getting game is gonna add to how you think about things or whatnot. So let's say, for instance, a producer is having a beat battle and whatnot. You pulling up to that beat battle and listening to, even though you might just be somebody that's in the crowd, but you got 20 producers that's in there that you can tap in with. You can't pay for that. You get what I'm saying? So learning what events to pop out at what times and relating it back to what you're trying to do is key. You can't really beat that. So for peak hour, I guess for me right now, I feel I know you said springtime. I feel it's starting right about now. From the production side of things, all the artists are trying to finish up their projects or about to drop soon when it gets hot outside. So I feel right now I've been kind of just whether it be sending packs out or pulling up I'm glad we just talked about this. I gotta remember I'm supposed to pull up on somebody tonight. I'm glad we just talked about this. That's crazy. But just hearing everything and somebody might be like, hey, come listen to my tape that I'm about to drop in a couple months. You know what I'm saying? Really just balance that out and just figure out, all right, you know what, this is gonna help me. This isn't gonna help me. Me going to the club tonight, I'm cool on that. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just about the scheduling and the balance for real, just like you said, yeah.
Cool, appreciate it. And before we open it up for the audience to have questions, what is something that you wish you would have known when you were younger, if you would have known it back then?
I don't know. I feel like the main thing I would want to tell myself is just it's mainly just the financial side. Growing up broke, didn't have a lot of didn't really have a lot of role models or people to kind of tell me about money management or nothing like that. So I feel like that would be something that I would definitely give myself some advice on. It definitely saved me a lot of headaches. It definitely saved me a lot of stress too, because it's a lot. You could do a lot with a little, So yeah.
Mine would be, I guess, everybody's not you. You feel me? I'm a very giving person. If I know you and I respect you, and you ask a favor for me, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna do it, And I kind of took that in the younger part of me working as, it's an opportunity. I like this person, or I like this person's music, or I want to work with this person. So me helping them, eventually it's gonna come back. And sometimes it does, but most times it doesn't. Some people I've learned in this industry that people take advantage of the kind, So understand that when you bless people or when you want to work with people, don't do things because you think you're gonna get it back. Just do things out of kindness of who you are and what you represent. You know what I'm saying? Don't look at it like, I'm giving you this, I expect it back from you if I need something back from you, because I definitely thoughts of those things. Even going back to how I expressed to you guys before, like, you know, I definitely helped a lot of artists become millionaires. So I expected, like, you know, when it's my time, come back, yeah, bro. And me expecting that definitely knocked off some things, and they don't owe me nothing.
Can you say it one more time?
The whole thing or just the part?
Just the main part.
Don't expect anything from artists or producers or anything if you do them a favor or you help them, because guess what? They don't owe you anything, period. I don't know.
Shoot, let's give it up for panelists, man. Hey, jumping gems. I love it. Does anybody have any questions for them? You can just raise your hand. We here, so go ahead.
Okay, so I had 3 questions. So when you guys were talking about, well, I think this is like one of the first things that we were talking about. But I wrote down, I think it was for you, Archer. So I was saying, when you say put yourself out there, what does that look like? Like, do you mean as far as like, you know, posting on your social medias or like networking with people? Like, what does that contain in that?
Definitely put like making and posting content for sure. That's a major one. You know, in the time we're in right now, social media is really popular, and it's like a crucial part of your branding of yourself as an artist and as a producer and as a creative. On the more like outside of the internet, definitely going out to shows, events, and just being around people that are like actively making music, and also not just necessarily actively making music, people that want to like actually put out the music too. So, for sure, because there are people that like have like some aversion to like just putting out their music. So, you know, going to showcases, going to shows, going to like I think open mics for sure, and networking. As far as like, and on the engineer side, you know, going to studios, and also just kind of, I feel like now if you don't have like a particular like a specific way into an event, like social media is really like your like business card kind of thing, kind of showing your skill and talent. And the more charismatic, the more creative your approach is, and not just like the quick, hey, this is a hack, to the more like endearing you'll be to like your audience for real.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I agree with the content. That's my social media manager right there. He's shooting right now. So if you don't have somebody to shoot for you, bro, find somebody that believes in you, one of the homies that's not doing nothing. Hey, y'all invest in the camera and get that content out, bro. I'm learning on the back end. I'm not really a TikTok dude, bro. You feel me? But at the same time, you gotta get to what's going. At the end of the day, you're gonna get left behind. So content is key for sure.
And also kind of to piggyback off of that too, like building a team too. Building a team of people. Like it doesn't just have to be just you. Just in the process of building a team of people that you really trust and that aren't necessarily just in it to like, it's better to build a team when you don't have anything going on than getting a team when you have something going on, because then it's hard to really distinguish like, okay, does this person really see my vision, or are they just trying to like just come up off of me? You know what I mean? Or it's like, or because you know there's a trade-off, and like if you can trust that person, it goes a lot better. So building that team, and in that process you'll build a community too.
Thank you. I had some more questions. So Tone, you had mentioned that, you know, there are some days when you don't make beats, and then there's other days where it's just like, you know, it's just beats all day or whatever. So I was just curious to know, because I'm like a very like planned and organized person, so I'm like, okay, this is like my purpose, this is why I'm doing it, blase, right? But is there like a certain number of beats that you like shoot for, like just in a week, I guess you could say? Or is it just like, if I feel like doing it today, it'll happen, and let's say if 3 come out, 3 come out. If 1 comes out, 1 comes out. Just.
Yeah, when I first started, it was definitely like, I'm making 10 beats today, and I'm about to post them, and for like now, the type of person I am, I literally wake up like day to day, because I was extremely scheduled. Like, I'm gonna wake up at 10 o'clock, or I'm gonna wake up at 8 o'clock, I'm gonna go do this, make beats from 5 to 9. Now it's more like, how do I feel today? Am I tired? Do I want to go to the gym? Okay, cool. You feel me? Like, so to answer your question, like, I don't really put a number on what I feel like is a successful day. I definitely just go off of like how I'm feeling. And ever since I've started this, it's kind of been helping me like accept, like, you know what? It's okay to like do certain things, and as I'm doing these certain things and achieving certain goals and whatnot, it's based off of the fact of like, I'm doing what I want when I want to do. So I don't really have a number, but
Kind of, I know the question was for him, but also like, I feel like personally, I don't do the same thing too. It's really more so the latter of like, if I make 3 beats today, it is just that. You know what I mean? Or
I make 5.
hey, a lot of times they don't be 5. but it's like the first half of my day is usually just I give that time to myself. Like usually up to like 1 p.m. So like I'm up at like 8. I'm a dad too, so I got a 5-year-old. She's up at like 6. Oh my God, that was really hard to get used to. But I'm up really early in the morning, so like I have a little morning routine with her. We meditate. We walk. It's cold outside, so I don't want to cap and say that we go out for walks. But when it's warm, we go walking. And I spend time with her. And if I'm not in a particularly good mood, or if I'm like, if I'm going through something emotionally or mentally, I'll take that time to myself initially, and I've kind of developed a kind of a dynamic with my daughter to where like she knows that daddy's not having a good day, but like we're still able to play, you know what I mean? So like kind of given certain boundaries and stuff like that. So it's like the first half of my day isn't really making music unless somebody calls me up like, hey yo Arch, I need something really quick. Okay, bet, I'll do that. Or, but usually from like 1 p.m. to like 10 p.m. is when I usually schedule stuff for my day. And it's not like a hard set, like boom, boom, boom. Usually it's like 3 things. Like 3 major things, like 3 things that like I know will make me feel accomplished, or like make me feel like I've done something, or I've actually like furthered my career in some way. And even if I don't accomplish those things, I give myself the room to kind of like, to not beat myself up about it. Because I used to be super schedule, or even, oh man, I'll hack it by giving myself a 15-minute break. It never works out. It never worked out for me. So I just kind of gave myself like a soft schedule kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to do that now, because like this semester in particular has just been very, very busy for me. So like trying to balance everything. But again, thank you for that advice. Last question that I have, Tom, you mentioned, I think both of y'all did, but when you were doing like when you were I guess like on tour and stuff, and you met 7th Streeter, you were saying that in the beginning pretty much like, I'm not gonna say you did say like talk to people, but you kind of just staying in your lane per se,
Right.
and then when you felt comfortable, you let more of your personality shine. So when do you think? And I'm not really asking for like specifics about like the process, but like just in general, like when do you think is good to be like, oh well, this is me, hi, like nice to meet you, all type of thing.
You talking about just in the session or just in general?
Just in
like,
general.
Oh yeah. Essentially, so let's just say somebody calls you like, hey, we want you. You said your song right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, man. We want you to come write this song for Summer Walker tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Sessions from 9 to 1, right?
Yeah.
All right, bet. I'll go. You feel me? We all show up. Hey, hi, everybody's good? Everybody's cool? Okay, what's the vibe? Like, before we even get into making music, I like to like talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what happened to you today? Like, what's the deal? Why are you mad? Are you hungry? You got attitude? Is your boyfriend? Like, I like to have those conversations just based off of like what it is, and then based off of what we're talking about, I can be like, you know what, this is how I can apply myself in this particular, just, you know, especially with artists, like, that's the key with all this, everything. If you can figure out a certain point to let this artist know that I'm just not a producer, I'm a person too. And I might agree with you, I might disagree with you. You feel me? Figuring out what that point is, because it's always gonna be different, regardless. I've been in the booth, I've been in the sessions with rappers who drugged up, zanned up, and they just want to hear trap stuff. That's cool too, you feel me? But at the same time, just knowing when to just put your personality out there. I would definitely just say like, I know this is very vague, but just like, peep the room. People always say just peep the room. Like, if everybody's quiet, everybody's just, you know, vibing and chilling, then that's the vibe of the room. You feel me? But if that's not your personality and you want to liven up the room, then be you. It might work, it might not work. You feel me? Because I've been in sessions too where I'm lit and everybody's high as hell. And I might be blowing the vibe in the room. You know what I'm saying? So, but don't continue to just, you know what I'm saying? If you catch your vibe is off and you like, you know what? All right, let me dial back. Don't just keep turning up. So just peep the room. That would be my advice. Just peep the room and catch the vibe in the room.
So I've kind of experienced like two different things. So like on my end, early on in my career it was like, you know, so a lot of times artists want to, like, if they're they're not sober, you know, they might not necessarily have the bandwidth to kind of be, you know, for your personality in that moment, you know, especially, and also, you know, with the dynamic of being an engineer, you know, it wasn't necessarily open in that moment. But being a songwriter, you come in at a different stage, so it makes more sense like to come in as a person, you know what I mean, and not necessarily just make more sense. It's just being like having that personal connection that makes for better music, you know. Like one thing that I have learned just coming from like, I guess, the service side of the music industry is that the moments where like the connection happens is not necessarily when you're working on music. It's in between. So like in like a little food, you know, a little lunch break or something, or just a break in between just the noise, you know. Just that's really that moment when like, you know, you can really see a person. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Cool, y'all show some love,
Yeah, right. Hey, what's up? Like I said, my name's Peyton P-Jax. I'm an artist out from that. I'm a little bit older, I think, than everyone here. But I'm an artist, I've been moving around too. I had a couple questions I heard. What was your perspective on kind of like, do you think that sometimes the Atlanta scene can get kind of cliquish? And if you do, like, what was your kind of advice on kind of moving around, kind of like the camp scene in Atlanta?
Ooh, yeah, it's definitely very
Not as
cliquish.
hard as a motherfucker too. Like, oh
Yeah, it is definitely very cliquish. Honestly, you can speak on it better than me.
Yeah, it's definitely very cliquish, especially like, and you can feel left out, especially like if let's just say your music, you're making totally different music. Like I know Atlanta's like very trap dominant, and it's very hard for a lot of guys who don't make trap music to make it out of Atlanta. But it is artists that actually make it. Find those guys, find that music, find that lane of guys who you would consider, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say join somebody else's clique at the same time, but find those guys that you would feel like are related to you, collab with them. You feel me? Find those producers. Let's make these type of music. You know what I'm saying? And that'll be like a better chance. You feel me? When we was first coming up, I helped like with like Migos. I was like in that type of realm. You feel me? Then I wound up meeting Black, a whole different type of dynamic. And he introduced me to the Earth Gang. He introduced me to JID. He introduced like these are the people that he came up with in his particular that's not predominantly trap. You feel me? So that would be more of my advice. Is like find what particular, I guess, clique that you reside in, and then dominate that and work with those people who will want to work with you in that realm.
Definitely. Yeah, you said it best, bro.
And another question, you said you went on tour with Black, his first tour. What was some of the learning experiences you learned from that first tour? If you had like tell an artist like, you know, ABC about tour, like what were some of those things?
Number one, know your lyrics. Number two, don't perform over your. This is like the most annoying thing. Like we just went through this. I just went on tour with an artist. I'm not gonna say his name, but when you go in and you're performing, and just imagine I'm at a show, right? And I know your favorite song, or I know I'm a fan of you, and my favorite song is whatever the case may be. Do not play the 2-track of the song and have you rapping over the lyrics. That's like the biggest mistake that artists make all the time. Some artists do it though. You got like Playboy Cardi, and you know that's more like for energy, but for like the type of music I'm assuming that you make, you want your fans or you want whoever you're performing in front of to be able to hear what you're rapping about. You feel me? That's the biggest bump. I'm listening to you rap over your lyrics. It's like weird because you sound like this live, but your song sounds like totally different. You might have something wrong with your voice that day. That was definitely one of the things I learned from a DJ perspective. I learned that the world is bigger than Atlanta. So in 2016, I'm going out here and playing hits in Atlanta, but I'm all the way in Australia and it doesn't work like that. So just try to experience things and have a more broader mind and perform differently. Then that would be my advice.
Yeah, so,
Cool. Y'all show
Sure,
some love, show some love.
You guys spoke earlier about like building a team and getting management behind you. What would you say is the role that kind of management helped in building your career?
For sure, like maintaining, like helping to build and maintain other relationships, for sure. Also, like for my manager personally, like he's dope. He really connected me with a lot of people that I still work with today. So he was like the final piece to like really keep me connected to everybody else, kind of stuff. So that for me that was like the main, like the big role for like for my manager for initially at first in my career. And then later on, it's more so just like kind of managing the different aspects of your team, because when you expand it out, it's like you kind of need someone else to kind of help delegate the tasks. So like it's someone more so like that you go and meet with and you talk, you kind of game plan with them, and they help to like manage the rest of your team. And also, you know, coordinate stuff between your lawyers and other aspects of your team and stuff like that. So it's like, as you get bigger, their role should also expand too.
I got some advice though. When you building this team, it's just my opinion. When you building this team, build out everything else first. Get you a cameraman, get you a street team, get you what else? Like a team, a content creator. I feel like the manager. I'm saying all that to say I feel like the management should be last. You feel me? You can have people. You can try to hire the homie to be your manager, but that's really detrimental to your career because he doesn't know how to manage an artist. I literally just personally went through this. I had a manager that was my homie that I tried to like, you know what, I'm gonna put you on, where it's really like, sometimes you might not know exactly what I need based off of where I am in my career. And you might be doing your best, but that's particularly not where I need. So once I built my team up, I literally just got into management probably like 2 days ago. Like literally just like, okay, this is the person who I know can structure this or talk to these people. Because when it gets deep and you start making music and you have to do producer agreements and talk to this lawyer and pay like, hey, we need to go to this networking event. Like that person has to be like, y'all have to be like Bonnie and Clyde. And you want to make sure that that person don't push you just as far as you push them. So just be very selective of who you guys select as your manager, because your music can be dope as hell, but if your manager not managing you the correct way, it can be detrimental to your career.
Appreciate that.
For sure.
Anybody else have a question?
I know y'all got some more questions, man. The floor is open.
Okay, so like in terms of like selling beats or getting a placement, how do you like organize how you get royalties or like you sell the license, or is that someone else that does that?
For me particularly, so I have a publishing deal with LVRN and Warner Chappell. So that's literally what they're pretty much like partners. That's what the deal is. Like they collect my royalties, they collect everything. I just let them know like, hey, this was the agreement that I agreed with this person. We did 50-50, we did 25, whatever the case may be. Whatever the agreement is, I let them know and then they go collect all of that. So, yeah.
And also in the music industry, it's different from like selling your beat online. As far as like where that's like more so focused on licensing, it's more so like you're selling the not selling the rights, but more so it's yeah right. It's really tricky, but it's not licensing though. It's that as far as the business always comes back to you. So to understand like the actual aspect of it, like it's definitely like I wish I could give better advice on that. But it's different from selling beats online. Because when you just put your beats online, the approach tends to be more so like they want to buy you out. You know what I mean? They want to they want to own the beat and you no longer be a part of that kind of thing. So that's the. And then also when you first initially start, they also want one thing to avoid is like the work for hire. So where where they don't have to really pay you for the beat kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. Exactly. Like somebody wants to pay you for a beat. Like for example, like the standard that we kind of go off of is like, it's called like an advance. You know, you're asking for a particular amount of money to use this beat, but you also get publishing. It's a lot of people who put beats on YouTube. Somebody just record it and it's a hit, but you don't have no publishing off of. I know so many producers that do that. That's why, me particularly, I don't put beats on YouTube, just based off the fact that I've seen it happen to so many producers so many times. Like, you feel me? When you go on the set of beats, this is how I do it. I get me in advance. Like, hey, you want to use my beat? This is how much it costs to use my beat. Okay, cool, boom. We're gonna agree to it. I still have rights in this beat, and I want my publishing based off of what it is. I need my 50% publishing. You know, so once you learn the business about like the 200% in records and all that stuff, then you know it's easy. But don't ever, 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 ever sell your beat just here. There's no point.
Anybody else got a question?
How do y'all feel about loops? Do y'all use loops?
Hell yeah.
For sure.
To be honest, bro, this is a crazy thing, bro. I don't know music theory at all. So like I started on loops. Like still I love loops. Like for me, loops are very essential because I'm the type of producer, like for a lot of people say you have loop makers, then you have producers, and then you have it's all the same to me. You feel me? I love to walk into sessions and be like, you know what? I just got this loop from my homie, bro. Like I got this idea. It's a start of an idea for me. And on top of that, when you this is the key. Let's say you have a session with whoever, the baby from 12 to 4. 9 times, if you don't make beats fast, and you want to knock out a couple songs, every beat is not gonna be made from scratch. So that's where those loops are very, very instrumental. Like I've been there, like, all right, you like this loop? All right, if I can put some drums on it. 15 minutes. The quicker an artist can get, especially with rappers, the quicker an artist can get to his idea without forgetting it, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna come out as a good record. You can't take too much time to just cook that shit from scratch. You gotta come up with the melody, make sure it's right, make sure it's EQ right, then start with the drums, fix the drums. You might not like the drums, switch the drums again. By that time, the artist be done lost the idea. So I love loops. I rock with loops. If you got loops, send them to me. I'm gonna send them right back. I'm a loop maker. I love loops. That's my journey. So.
All right, so that's a really contentious like topic. That with
Okay.
producers, yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, I gotta come back.
Yeah, it's like it's a really hot topic because it's like it puts because when it comes time to negotiate at the end, like yeah, when it comes time to negotiate at the end and you don't have a personal relationship, I keep talking about personal relationship, whatever. But if you don't know that loop maker, you know, a lot like especially approaching them with like the negotiation is hard because they, in my experience, a lot of times they like try and hit you over the head with it because in the way the copyright system is set up, it puts a lot of weight on melody. You know what I mean? Melody and not so much rhythm. I low-key think it's because it's some racist shit. But because why the genre of music that is like drummed up, whatever. Okay, cool. But so puts a lot of weight on melody. So the loop makers tend to be like, yeah, nah, give me 40%, which is like that don't make no sense. You know what I mean? Or give me, you know, like give me half, even though they didn't necessarily do the extra work that you did to finish the beat. You know what I mean? Even if you just use a portion of it, they still have a lot of leverage because it's melodic element. So it's like that's like the tricky part in it. And then also you have like I could really talk about this a lot, but like you also have like the I guess like the expectation of like what people think a producer should be. Like you should like make the entire beat yourself type of, so you're kind of contending with that. But collaboration is really important. You know, so I love the loops and I love collaborating with people. It's just that, like, in the end, just working through and like negotiating. That's the tricky part. Like when you're working with a loop maker that isn't in the industry but has like a certain expectation of like what they would want from it. It makes getting a song out a lot more difficult because that communication. It's hard to kind of get that across to the person. It's like, okay, I'm trying to get, you know, like we on this last leg, like, hey yo, you killed it with the loop, like bet, but like you gotta work with me, or like you gotta really work with a lot of people. And it's like I understand because I've also been the loop maker where it's like that someone will come to you with like a ridiculous percentage, like, you know, trying to only give you like 5%, but like they use the entire loop. Or it's like, okay, nah, you know, you gotta like create, you gotta like, you gotta stand up for yourself, you know what I mean, and negotiate a higher percentage. But at the same time, I've also been in situations where it's like, you know, where my loop wasn't really like the main focus of the entire track. So like understanding that and also like just from my own experience, seeing, knowing how the business usually goes, like negotiations are usually done after the fact, you know, and then not, you know, people, for as much advice as people try and give, like, yo, come into the studio with a split sheet and everything like that, that's not, honestly, that's kind of a red flag. You know, people don't really want to, like, do the session with you because it's like, the music isn't even created yet, but you already kind of want to dictate how it's gonna go. You know, like, well, I'm gonna do 40% of the work, or I'm gonna do like, you can't really know that. You know what I mean? And usually how it works out is like everybody kind of gets it. For as many people as there are on the track, you know, sometimes people get like an even split or whatever, and you kind of learn legally even split doesn't even really mean that either, because it's like, but yeah, but for the most part, it's usually even, I guess, you know what I mean? Like where if it's 3 people, it's split equally 3 ways type shit. But if you're, yeah, I'm just gonna stop right there. Because it's a lot because, yeah, it gets deep.
Because sometimes it's also like, for example, like I won't use your loop if I don't have a, like you said, to avoid all of that, I won't use your loop unless we have an understanding. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting the drums on this loop. I'm also taking this beat that we made together and presenting it to this artist. Not only am I presenting it to this artist, I'm actually in the session writing with the artist, making the idea. So sometimes when it gets to the loop, they're like, hey, I want the same percentage. Like, hold up. You didn't do the same amount of work. So as long as I have that type of relationship with the loop maker, like, hey, this is my 9 times out of 10 standard, whatever percentage that we agree upon, we talk about everything, cool. But like I said, I love loops. Do not be the loop maker that does, I wouldn't even say bad business, that's hard to deal with because people will not rock with you, bro. So always try to be the cool loop maker, cool on percentages. For sure. For sure.
Perfect. Well, appreciate y'all, man. Show some love. They dropped a lot of gems today, man. Just want to thank both of y'all, Tony and Archie, for pulling up